Well, Democrats are dealing with their own distraction, what many of them hope will be a very good distraction, albeit a big distraction. Yeah, the big dog himself. Take a look.
This is a clear choice. The Republican plan is to cut more taxes on upper-income people and go back to deregulation. That's what got us in trouble in the first place. President Obama has a plan to rebuild America from the ground up, investing in innovation, education, and job training. It only works if there is a strong middle class. That's what happened when I was president. We need to keep going with his plan.
Well, here's the thing about bringing in the big dog, though. The town hall's Katie Pavlich says it doesn't just make folks nostalgic for that Democratic president. It could remind them how angry they still are at this Democratic president. There's something to that, Katie.
Well, there is. And bringing in Bill Clinton is a habit of the Obama campaign, which is interesting considering Bill Clinton has kind of been at odds with the Obama campaign. He talked about having a surplus at an Obama fundraiser. We just saw the fourth year of $1 trillion deficit.
And by the way,
yesterday.
in this ad, it looks to me like a hostage tape. But that could be just me.
You never know.
I'm joking. But he doesn't look like he's really into it. But maybe he is. But what do you think of that?
You know, it just doesn't, going back to that point, it doesn't look like he's into it because I think he's not. It's a very disingenuous thing to have Bill Clinton come onto the Obama campaign when he's made statements such as extending tax cuts for all wealth groups.
Complimenting Mitt Romney.
Right, complimenting Mitt Romney, talking about surpluses instead of deficits. But speaking specifically on this ad, Bill Clinton is talking about a plan, right, which naturally leads people into asking, well, what is President Obama's plan? If he is the clear choice, then naturally he probably has a clear plan for the American people to look at. We haven't seen that plan. Bill Clinton also talks about investing in job training. Well, job training is worthless when there are no jobs available. And President Obama can talk about, more spending and more investment all he wants, but there really isn't a plan. And his own Treasury Secretary told Paul Ryan, who is now the vice presidential nominee for Mitt Romney, look, we don't have a plan, we just don't like yours.
And I think that with all these political ads, there's always a zing at George Bush, who's kind of the gift that keeps giving, and the president, that is Bill Clinton, blaming some of the sort of whirlwind, Texas, anything goes approach to business when it was he who liberalized home lending. At the time, it looked like a great idea. Everyone got into housing, and we all knew that it went too far. But leaving that aside, do you think it moves the base to see Bill Clinton and bring out the base?
I don't necessarily think it does, and this is why. Because I think that people understand that the Clinton era was a completely separate economy. The government...
And it was a completely separate president. He was moderate.
Right, he was moderate. He worked with Republicans in Congress to move forward with shrinking government, welfare reform as a perfect example.
Welfare to work, and now this president's dismantling that very...
Exactly, and government actually grew at a slower rate under Bill Clinton. The national debt was $6 trillion. Now it's $16 trillion. We're dealing with a much larger government to pay for now than we were in the Clinton years.
Bill Clinton is heart of hearts. He's a very smart guy, and I've interviewed him many times. And one thing I always took away from that, his propensity for numbers is amazing. His recall is amazing. People can go back and forth on the ethical stuff and fair game on all of the above. But he knows the numbers. So I'm thinking he's got to know the numbers you alluded to. He's got to know that this president's piled $5 trillion on in debt. He's got to know that this president has harangued business and gone after fat cats and almost made evil everyone who's successful in this company. And even in this country, and even question how they became successful, whether they did it on their own. It's got to bug Bill Clinton.
I think when he's, talking behind the scenes and getting caught on tape, talking to Paul Ryan and giving him a that a boy behind the scenes and giving Mitt Romney some credit and talking about how, actually we should be extending tax cuts for everyone because we're in a recession. I don't think that it's a real, genuine portrayal of Bill Clinton on his part.
And Deval Patrick did the same. Cory Booker, the Newark mayor, did the same. They came out and more or less, I thought they were shouting out a plea for help for the president. Listen to what we're saying. And then the president walks them back, or the White House says, don't say that. And they say, well, I didn't mean that. But to a man, they all said the same thing. You got to cool it.
Well, yeah, exactly. But you asked about whether this is going to mobilize the base. And because this isn't a genuine showing of Bill Clinton's values that he used in his presidency, reflecting on the same, values that President Obama has used, they've had very different presidencies.
Absolutely.
They've grown the government at a much higher rate. And so I think people can see that this is not something Bill Clinton really wants to be doing. He's doing it for the sake of the party.
And he's doing, all that's missing is holding the day's newspaper. you know, like up there as he's doing it.
Yes.
My opinion. Could be wrong, but
Maybe.
Katie,
You're never wrong, Neil.
good seeing you in person. Thank you very much.
Thank you.